Hello everyone, welcome to Nashcraft, where we're talking about classes today in Shadowdark. Alright everyone, just having a quick video here, going over some cool classes that I've found online, because I'll admit, I'm addicted to making classes for Shadowdark. I think the template that Kelsey has made for Shadowdark classes, the way that they're restrictive, but just enough to kind of give it a flavor and allow players to fill out the gaps in the classes, kind of make it their own. And of course, I know the random stat table is not unique to Shadowdark, that some other, maybe it was Traveler or something I heard, that is the one that also did something like this. But I still think that it's a great iteration in the fantasy TTRPG scene right now, and I think a lot of other people like me are having a good time making classes for people to play or for ourselves to play, and finding out what really works and what sort of makes the game sing as we delve into the ins and outs of making a character class. So I've already done this once with the Blade Master class. I did that live with y'all. Had a great time with that, and I just was going through Dredgevermin, looking around on the internet, and I found a couple really cool ones I thought maybe y'all would like to see. Some are free, some are not. And we'll just go through here in a little quick list, and I'll just ramble them off, kind of talk about what I like, and we'll go from there. So let's start with this first one, because due to the name of my channel, and also you can see the two ravens here at the very top as the banner of my channel as well, we're going to start off with the Hrafn class by Vorpal Edge. And this is going to be a free one, to pay what you'd like to get this class on your hands. And Raven, in case you didn't know, is Hrafn in Old Norse. So this guy is definitely bringing an Odinic vibe here to this character. And I am a sucker for all things Odin. So we're going to check it out. As you can see in some of my thumbnails, I also got all the runes. And if you liked more Norse stuff in your Shadowdark games, please go check out my Valhalla supplement that I have on Dredgevermin, a little zine that I did with a buddy, and he did all the artwork for this, and it's got Odin and Thor and the Norns and all sorts of amazing stuff in there. So if there's some other classes as well, but that's enough of that. Let's talk about the Hrafn class here. And like I said, this is going to be a very Odinic motif character class here. Let's see if he's going to pull it off. All right, so we got it here. The Hrafn, or Raven, are sought-after advisors, strategists, and interrupters walking the path set by Odin. Some even offering their eye as tribute. Okay. Weapons: dagger, short bow, short sword, and spear. This is definitely going to be a class that's going to remind us of the Seer, I would say, in the Cursed Scroll 3 zine, the official one for Shadowdark, and I've got that pulled up here so we can maybe look at some comparisons for the Seer and the spells that this class is going to refer to. So they're going to get a little more. They're going to get more armor than the Seer does, right? And I've made my own sort of offshoot Seer class. I've made my own Rune Master class, and I base it heavily on the Egil saga, because he is the quintessential Rune Master in the sagas, and base a lot of his abilities on the things that he does in the sagas, as far as making runes, carving runes onto weapons, so that way they're more effective in battle, or making other enemies stuff not effective. And so, but he's a warrior, is where I'm getting at too. He's not just a magician dude. He's also kind of a capable warrior. Maybe not wearing plate mail, but chainmail. I would, that's what I gave my character as well, as capability of wearing chainmail. So they're going to be a little sturdier than your basic Seer. They can, kind of get a little more frontline. Obviously, you get a little more health than the Seer as well. I think they only get a D4. Oh, I lied. Nope. Seers get a D6. But yeah, they don't get the chainmail, and they don't get the bows at all. It looks like the Hrafn is going to be able to get a bow. Okay, so let's look at the bread and butter of this class, okay? Each day, one-eyed. Each day, your perception aligns with one of the Allfather's ravens. Choose one of the options below. After you complete a rest, you gain advantage on its related checks until you complete your next rest. So you get two modes to pick from and see what benefits you get. Hugin, which is going to mean thought in Old Norse. His ability is detect traps and unseen paths. And the other raven's name is Munin, which means memory. And then if you pick this one, you're going to be able to have advantage on sensing dishonesty and ambushes. Yeah, so both really, really useful abilities here, because this class is not going to be a frontline. They'll be able to kind of hang around the front line, but they're not like a bunch of damage dealers in this sense, right? They're going to be this is like really where this class is going to do most of its work, is going to be able to looking for traps, looking for unseen. This thing I think is an interesting one to sort of be able to, if you can kind of flavorfully pull that off with your DM and sort of describe, trying to, got your Assassin's Creed Eagle Eye looking for stuff or whatever, seeing if there's any sort of clues that might go unnoticed on a initial scanning of the room or something, And yeah, sensing dishonesty and ambushes is also really useful as well. These things are sort of gated beyond that. You're not going to be nuking encounters entirely per se. It says you just get advantage on related checks to them. So yeah, nothing automatic. But yeah, I think this is where this class is going to do most of its work here, and that it's not casting spells per se and all that stuff, although he'll get some chances to do that. It's really employing this sort of ability here and leaning into this. Okay, now here you go. Here's the rest of his sort of class abilities that he'll kind of get. You'll get what's called Mimir's Well. You get to drink from the well of Mimir's infinite wisdom to learn its knowledge. At first level, you roll one time on the table. You don't suffer any negative effects. You may choose to roll on the wisdom table. In addition to gaining a talent at every odd level, you permanently lose health points equal to the die's result. Having insufficient HP will result in no gains or losses. So every time you roll a talent, you have a chance of rolling. You have a choice of rolling this as well, and that way you can do it every other level. I think that's smart to tell y'all to do that, so that way there's at least one other level you're hopefully getting some more health points to stack up to maybe get one of these effects. Now let's see what they're gonna give us. All right, so if you roll a 1, it's just gonna give you a +1 on your next roll on this table. Okay, so you'll get let's say if at level 1 you rolled a 1, you'll get a +1. So that way at level 3, when you roll this again, you're rolling a d6 +1, so you're moving away from possibly getting this result again. If you get a 2 to 3, you get a language, or you get to learn a new weapon. All right. 4 or 5, 1 rare language. Ooh, or +1 initiative. Ooh, that's juicy. Very useful. And see, this is like one of those little buffs where you're not. You're gonna shine in certain ways, but you're not gonna, I think, overpower it. And we can go through the power level of this class here in a second. And then the last one, if you get a 6, you can activate seer scrolls or wands using your wisdom spellcasting to roll. And if you roll this more than once, then you just get +1 on your spellcasting checks in case you find that stuff. Now, hopefully, you're able to find wands and scrolls for that stuff. I assume if you're playing a campaign that has to do, if you're playing a Hrafn class, hopefully your DM's embellishing that or hooking you up. All right, and so let's go through the talents before I kind of wrap it up here. Talents. If you roll the snake eyes, you get to learn the Raven spell and use the spellcasting stat, which is going to be wisdom, and a penance table in case you critical fail it. And the Raven spell, I've got it pulled up here just so we can see. Raven is going to be a level 3 spell. Yeah. So it's an instant spell, range unlimited. You whisper a message to Odin's own ravens, and they can carry it across all the worlds to its recipient. Speak a short sentence and the name of its recipient, dead or alive. That creature hears your utterance whispered in its mind. Pretty useful. Interesting. But yes, that's going to be a snake eyes that you're going to be able to cast this spell. interesting choice. On a 3-6, you're going to get +1 to 2 stats that must be different. Still kind of going into the two-eyed aspect here. On a 7 to 9, you get +1 to melee or ranged attacks. 10 to 11, lose 2 less health points on each roll of your Mimir's Well to a maximum of -1, past and future. Now, what's kind of hard is that, remember when you roll on Mimir's Well, when you roll this d6, you're going to lose health for the result as in addition to gaining the effect. And that's to sort of represent Odin sacrificing his eye for knowledge of the runes and all that juicy stuff. But in this case, this is going to be able to take off some of that bite when you do it. But it says, it's great that you take off 2 less health points for each roll, and it says it does it past and future. So I assume that when you get this roll, it will retroactively give you back some of your health points that you've spent before. So I guess like in a sense, every time you've rolled it, you would just give yourself 2 more health points per those times you've rolled in the past, not including your first one, of course. So that's kind of interesting. You're able to kind of recoup some of that health that you've spent here as well. And of course, 12, you get to choose 1 or 2, or put 2 points into stats to distribute. All right, and this picture here is super gnarly, and I hope I'm not spoiling it here, but this is like craftsmanship. I'm telling you guys, this is amazing work, super smart of someone who took a free picture and photo bashed it to something to be unique. This is actually a picture from something else that, some super old book or whatever, free copyright, old pictures that have been penciled and, no one really cares about it anymore. You can go through these old free database sites of free commonplace arts. But there's enough of, he took like the spear of someone and put it here because Odin's main weapon of choice is a spear. And the original picture, this is actually like an axe or something, I forget. And they put the spear blade here at the end, so it kind of brings a motif. And I don't remember if the horns are there. Maybe they are. And he also painted this eye patch here because, once again, Odin gave up one of his eyes to drink from Mimir as well. And, he kind of photobashed away some other stuff in here, made it a little more black and white from the version I'd seen. And because I was like, this is a pretty cool picture. And turns out, the Vorpal Edge is doing some high craft photo bashing because, you can just take really old artwork and doctor it up enough, and it's completely unique and completely its own. And these ravens are not in the original picture here too. But would you have noticed unless I had told you? But otherwise, dude, this is a masterclass in being able to make something evocative with limited resources, and it's freaking brilliant. So go check out Vorpal Edge here. He is at on X, Vorpal Edge 101. He's doing a bunch of projects on there. I'll have all the links down below in the description. And now, as far as this Mimir's Well thing, I think this 4 to 5 one is really cool. Learning a rare language or getting the +1 initiative, like, that's really cool. I think that maybe something in this 2 to 3 area might be able to be bumped up to something. I don't really know what I would make it. Maybe even getting, because it's like you're only you're going to be able to use scrolls and wands, which is cool. Maybe if one of these would give you, I would almost wonder if I should put these down here, and then maybe on a 4 to 5 or something, or shuffle it up. Maybe you get to learn a spell or something. But that's just me. I think that maybe I err on probably giving too much power to the player. But I think that this does a good job of not letting it get out of reach. I think this is pretty reined in. And I think a smart player would really be able to use this and make it shine. Like I said, I think be able to detect traps and unseen paths and sensing dishonesty and ambushes would be a lifesaver. And it's pitching it as a sort of strategist and advisor. And so I think there's a lot of flexibility in this class. And once again, I'm a sucker for all things Odin, so of course I'm gonna like it, of course. But go get this for free on DriveThruRPG. Vorpal Edge's got some other products on there, so go check them out. All right, now this next one's going to be by JKW Games, role-playing games, RPG. JKW RPG, I think is what he is on DriveThruRPG. And I've actually got 2 classes from this guy. You know what? I think I'll just do one. I'll do that another one another day. I'll do the more recent one that he's done on Drive-Thru-RPG because that's how I found him, and that's going to be his Dredgevermin class, and it's one of those sort of race is class ideas, and I think it just, once again, I think it's perfectly in line with the Shadowdark aesthetic and goals, and I think it's unique enough, and who doesn't love random tables now and their character leveling up schemes now, right? So go check him out on Drive-Thru. He also does have a Patreon where he's got some more classes and more art. That's one of the other ones. If you don't go check it out before I already spoil it in another video, I would definitely recommend going and looking at his stuff because it's going to be free, and isn't that amazing? These really cool creators creating these really excellent classes. So let's look at the Dredgevermin class here. All right, here we go. So Dredgevermin. You are transformed, either by choice or by bad luck, into a champion of Skirith, the ever-chittering. An extension of the mad god's yawning appetite of this material plane, Dredgevermin feels Skirith's hunger as a bottomless yearning for more. More meat, more secrets, more riches. So cool. Props, mad props. Alright, so here we go. Weapons. We got blowgun, gonna be a new weapon. Crossbow, dagger, short bow, and spear. So all the primitive basic stuff in here. Really small damage type items. We got leather armor and mithril chainmail. Alright, so yeah, they're able to specify that they can wear that mithril chainmail here. 1d4 hit points, and you also know the chitter language. What's the chitter language? We'll find out here at the bottom. But otherwise, your deity, you are a blessed child of Skirith, the ever-chittering. Roll 1 talent on the Skirith Blessing Talents table. You may re-roll duplicates or keep them. Okay? And it's going to be over here in a second. And then also skittering. You are naturally gifted in the following tasks and have advantage on any associated checks. Sneaking and hiding, swimming and running, squeezing into tight spaces without gear on. Interesting. And then snap reflexes. Once per day, when you would be hit with an attack roll or fail a dex saving throw, you aren't hit or succeed instead. So it's like a 1 free luck token, but guaranteed luck. Okay, let's look at the talents. Snake Eyes. Once per day, when you find treasure, you find another poor treasure. Interesting. That's cool. 3 to 6. +1 to melee and ranged attacks. Okay. 7 to 9. +2 to strength or dexterity stat, or +1 to ranged damage. 10 to 11. Roll 1 talent on the Skirith Blessing table. Okay. And then 12. Choose 1 option or +2 points to distribute to stats. And as we mentioned it before, the blowgun is a new one they've sort of statted out here. Costs 10 gold pieces. Wow. Ranged is a ranged weapon. It's got a distance of near, 1d4 damage, and it uses darts. 20 for 1 gold pieces, and they are 20 to 1 gear slot. Chitter is a rare language spoken and understood by all species of vermin. And Skirith, the ever-chittering, is the chaotic deity of all vermin creatures. He's most oft depicted as a robed rat king, a tangled, writhing mass of rats, prophesizing through the cacophony of his 1,000 mouths. Gross. Okay, so let's look at the blessing talents up here, the Skirith blessing talents. So you're going to roll this at level 1, and then sometimes, as per the talents, you might get to roll some other ones too, so that's neat. Kind of reminds me of the, it's a little how the Roska dice stuff works. Okay, so on a 1, you gain an additional hit point die. Very nice, especially when you're sort of one of those squishier characters. 2, DC 9 dexterity check to climb sheer surfaces up to near. Oh, so that's pretty cool. What a neat little ability to have here, right? So yeah, on a 9, so that's an easy check. You can climb, basically, you have a climb distance of near, which is pretty cool. And yeah, this character's definitely got some maneuverability or some traversability, because yeah, the sneaking and the hiding and the climbing and the swimming and running and squeezing is going to be really useful for exploring and maybe some of those really delicate tasks. All right, on a 3, you get a vial of Scarus venom with 1d4 doses. And the asterisk down here for this venom, you can cut a weapon or ammunition for 1d4 rounds. Target must make a must make a DC 12 con save or get disadvantage on attack rolls for 1d4 rounds. That's kind of nice. And you'll get 1d4 doses of that. You know, just initial thoughts here. Yeah, I think this is really cool, but almost like, once again, you know, you players out there, maybe y'all will like this, but I'm just like, maybe it should be 1d4 plus 1. I kind of just feel bad if you get 1, you know. You definitely want at least 2. But, because, yeah, this creature that you're shooting is going to not only have to hit them, but they're going to have another chance to save it again. All the disadvantage on attacks for a while, but then they can only do it for 1 round. So there's like 2 gates to get this thing to pop off. So I'd like to give them double, you know, at least more than 1 chance, especially if this is like one of their talents. Roll 1 talent on because if you roll this, you're like, oh wow, I got to level 7 or I got to level 9. Like, oh, am I gonna get? Oh man, dink! I rolled 1 dose of this stuff. Okay, that's not cool. Maybe there'd be some way of it should say like once per day you get a dose of this stuff. Y'all let me know if that would be. I think that would be a little spicier version of that. Yeah, so instead once per day you get a vial of Scarus venom. You're just guaranteed like 1 per day, and maybe you can only have once per day or whatever he gives you, you know, like you can't extend beyond it. Yeah, I'm not sure how to exactly, because yeah, I think that would just put it on the same par as some of those other ones. But yeah, because you don't want them to stockpile that stuff either and just get it once per day. I understand, getting it behind one of these, but yeah, I feel like there's something here about being able to maybe even make it you know how the ranger has an ability where they can make herbs, maybe just gate it behind a really high intelligence check for them. Like this rat person needs to roll, you know, like a 15 or something, and then they can get 1d4 doses of this thing, and then, you know, I don't know how to, you know, you have to write it in there that they can only do it so many times until they fail the check, essentially, right? Yeah, because here let's compare to the rest of them because I'm getting held up here. But let's look at the next one. So 4, DC 9, charisma check to command lesser vermin. See, that's so cool. That's so cool. Everyone will love doing that. Oh, I got 1 dose of this stuff. I'm at, you know, I can make someone, if I hit them, and then if they also fail a DC check, then they'll get disadvantage, which is really good. But it's so many if I can. Yeah, because then on 5, you can't be surprised. Like, yeah, you just get the goblin racial passive, like, super useful. And then 6, once per day, when you reduce to 0 hit points, DC 5 dexterity save to go to 1 hit point instead. So yeah, I think all these other ones in just comparison to the venom are like really good. Maybe even just what would make it comparable for me is if they up the DC of the 12 for the Constitution save here. If they up that to 15, I think that would, because you're only going to get 4 doses, maybe at most 4 doses of them. And if you're able to hit them, and if they fail it, you know, I'm kind of, you know, hitting a dead horse here, but I think that would just, you know, bring this one as interesting as all these other ones, which I think are excellent. And of course, here we're going to get all the titles here that you can sort of pause and read here at your own. And then here at the bottom, we have the cool little, where it says, "Snap through the bone, eat through the world," by Skrex at Dredgevermin. Yeah, this is some hand-drawn art that looks like he's uploaded here. And yeah, mad props to people that are pushing more of this stuff out there. And mad props to people that are doing that whole in-house thing. So yeah, like I said, go check out Dredgevermin on DriveThruRPG and JKWRPG and all their other work for free on Patreon. So go give them a shout. Go support them. This is going to be the Letters from the Dark, Volume 6, Scallywags by Chris Powell. And Yeah, this thing's so awesome. I love this edition. There are so many useful things inside of it. Not just this class I'm going to show you, but it's got a whole adventure. It's got other classes, and it's got a bunch of NPC stat blocks in the back, which are also really useful. And so the class that I wanted to highlight from this one, and because I didn't want to show the rest of it, because this is a paid product, this is going to be like $5-6, something like that. And the class that I wanted to showcase today is going to be the Sharpshooter class. Legendary archers, big game hunters, and madcap blasters. Yeah, so we got a fantasy of the person who wants to be Bullseye, and although fighters can throw stuff, and rogues can also throw it too, rogues always have to rely on their sneak attack to sort of be reliable. Otherwise, they're very squishy, so they have to get in and out. Fighters, why would they ever fight with a D6 or a D4 weapon if they can fight with something else, and they're going to be, I feel like more of their built-in character stuff is about being able to survive hits, at least being able to take some. So this class is going to try to find something in the middle here, and it's going to be all revolving around shooting things, right? And so, of course, we'll start here with weapons. All ranged and thrown weapons, including thrown weapons used for melee. I'm assuming stuff like daggers and hand axes or whatever. Armor, leather armor, and chainmail. Hit points, D6. And so, yeah, this is a cool little thing they got here. Bandolier. You get an additional 3 gear slots that can hold ammunition or thrown weapons. So yeah, if you want to be a dude who's just like Batman, haranguing stuff out people or whatever, and there's only probably so many attacks you'll have during a combat anyway, because it's always so embarrassing having to go pick up your stuff at the end of a battle anyway. Like, I go collect my arrows, I go collect my axes. This would kind of give you a little bit of a buffer in case, because sometimes people are a little, we get a little scared throwing our weapons at people. Like, what if I don't see that? I've only I've thrown it this many times. Like, what if I don't get it back this time? We never know if our GM's gonna be like, oh, it goes over the ledge or whatever. Not that I've ever done that, but just saying. And so having extra ways of being able to keep other backup stuff or chaff to be able to throw at people, and to hold ammunition as well. So I don't know, and I feel like most people don't go through. Well, it maybe depends on how survival driven you're running your game, but I feel like for me, going through ammunition is pretty slow. So I don't. This really helps the people that like to throw stuff. It does help. I'll take it back. It takes a gear slot away, maybe 2 gear slots away, if you're a regular adventurer, so that way you can put the stuff in your bandolier, and then you get to carry other fun stuff in your backpack. This is probably how it's supposed to be, right? So it's freeing up. It's like free backpack slots, essentially, so you don't have to waste your ammo on it, which is useful. Quick load. You can reload weapons without losing movement. Now, that's pretty good. That's pretty interesting, so. And I guess that makes a lot of sense for these classes. Precision. You have advantage on damage rolls for range attacks. Okay. Y'all have to let me know about that one. This seems pretty strong. This seems really strong. Let's finish this last one before I go into a spiel here. Even though, yeah, I'm like, I love this product, and then I'm gonna go well, nice. I'm not trying to do that exactly, but I wanted to stimulate a discussion about procedures in these sorts of things, right? And see what feels the best and what feels the most fair. And y'all could even vote and tell me which of the 3 felt the most fair after this one, right? So let's look at this. Precision. Do you have advantage on damage rolls for range attacks? Like I said, that seems really strong for every single attack. Although that hits home on the flavor, being able to bullseye things, and this is a sharpshooter, so that, it's pretty cool. Expertise. Choose bows, including crossbows, or guns or thrown weapons. You gain +1 to range attacks, but not damage, with that weapon category. In addition, add half your level to these rolls, rounded down. Okay, so for the fighter, they get to add attack and damage rolls. Is that how it is? Plus half their level, I think is how it goes. Okay, so yeah, with a fighter class, the weapon mastery, you'll get a static bonus to damage and attack that grows with you, just like this expertise thing here does. But you don't get damage on expertise. Instead, this class is going to get advantage on damage rolls, which might be better at. They'll kind of plateau on. It'll still be really useful forever, and it'll definitely help early game. I feel it definitely makes this really a damage hitting class. It makes him pretty reliable. Okay, and let's look at the talents, and then we'll go through this and see how we feel about it. I'll give you my expert opinion on it. Okay, Snake Eyes gain expertise with 1 additional weapon category. Okay, and by the way, this product, the Scallywags one, in addition to having an amazing 3-part dungeon pirate adventure, which I highly recommend. I love how it's written out and the way it reacts to you and what your players do and the different choices they can make. Really, really fun adventure. This product also has guns. Who doesn't love guns? And they've done a good job, I think, of balancing it as far as the damage. Like, it's not anything crazy. It's another just keeping track of the weapon, of the ammunition, sorry. And one of the big caveats about using weapon is that it provokes encounters, and that can be pretty deadly in Shadowdark, so you are really rolling the dice here, no pun intended, when you are doing such a thing. Okay, 3 to 5, you get +1 to range attacks. I wonder if I could put something else here just in case, because like they already get that. I guess I'll just be really good at it. I don't know. 7 to 9, +2 to dexterity, constitution, or wisdom stat. I wonder why they did wisdom. Oh, maybe for perception. Right? That's what I think. 10 to 11, +1 gear slot, ammunition, or thrown weapons. Okay. I wonder if I would put this. And then 12. Choose a talent or +2 to distribute to stats. Okay. So like I said, this idea of the weapon mastery, half of it is expertise, and then you get the attack roll bonus, which is basically your accuracy. And then we're going to have it split off. Instead of getting a static bonus to damage, you're going to get precision, which is going to be really useful, I think, at low levels right away, because you could be using a D8 bow and rolling D8s with advantage, which is pretty nice. And it'll definitely plateau off in usability, I suppose. Because, yes, ultimately the fighter class is going to be able to deal more damage because they are described as also being elven archers. And they're going to get that static damage to the... They're going to get that static number added to the damage over time. Whereas in the Sharpshooter class, like I said, this precision thing, very useful, very interesting. But yeah, they're going to kind of plateau on their damage, so to speak. It'll be capped off because they're not getting that number slowly increasing statically over time. So where they really shine is being able to be on the move. And maybe with their, if they're working with their DM and sort of seeing those opportunities open up for being creative with their bullseyeing on different targets, and, being strategic or looking for those weak points instead of being, static sniper sort of type deal. Yeah, here's a guy who's, on the run, and that's sort of fun too. Or it's almost like, I wonder if it'd be interesting enough if we move this gain expertise to an additional part of 3 to 5, and then on this one, on the Snake Eyes, just since we're going for the Sharpshooter thing, I'm just finding ways of oomping their damage. And maybe you could just give them either the passive, like the Roska die of maybe your attacks deal triple damage or something. So that maybe instead they could have on the Snake Eye result to be something like roll an extra d6 on critical attacks, or triple damage on a critical attack or something instead, or once per day deal damage as critical damage or something, just to sort of drive home that sharpshooterness, that really hitting the critical spots, and make it a once per day thing, or make it only on a critical roll proc or something like that. Because I think that ultimately being able to hold some extra stuff, which if you're a normal fighter, they're gonna have crazy strength anyway, so they're probably gonna get these 3 gear slots. And the quick load is useful, but I worry that it won't be as impactful as something else like the grit and being able to have advantage on dexterity or strength or something like that. Oh, the rolling advantage on damage rolls is always going to be fun the whole way through. That's going to feel impactful from the beginning. So yeah, everyone, that's going to be my thoughts on these classes that I wanted to share with you today. 2 of them are free, like I said. One of them is part of a paid product that comes with a bunch of other stuff in it that is totally worth every single dollar. So yeah, go support all of these creators in the Shadowdark community. They are providing tons of amazing content, or good well springs for your own content as well, because a lot of us like to homebrew in this community as well, and I think that they provide good fodder for thought and conversation as we try to figure out what's sort of balanced class and what's a fair class, what's in line with the framework that Kelsey has sort of delivered from up high, and so that way we can try to stay in that mold and sort of make sure that it feels like it's within the correct spirit of the game. And make sure that we're also not, taking away from some of the essential classes, right? Because it seems in some cases that, it's like, why would they not pick a fighter over here? What's one of the thing that maybe would distinguish it a little more from the initial class that cannot be accomplished by one or the other? I think that they're doing the right thing, though, with something like the loading trait, where it talked about, you can move while reloading. Like, there are certain keywords and certain little rules that would be fun to invert or change, or be able to have your character class sort of be able to take advantage of that, right? Maybe even take advantage of that scenario, right? Where if you move a certain amount of feet during the loading phase or something. Yeah, since we're already breaking the rule, this class allows us to break the rule of doing loading while moving. That, why doesn't it just go one step a little further and try to make one less little spin on the whole thing? I think it would be really cool. Not saying that it really needs to be done, but that's how my brain works and some of this stuff. So yeah, let me know if I'm totally off base with that. Let me know if you like these classes. I think they're all worth your time for a look. And so yeah, let me know if you enjoyed them. Let me know if you're going to pick them up for your next game, and drop down below which one you thought was your favorite. And let me know if there's any other that you've seen that I should cover on this channel, so that way we can kind of shout out to the masses there that we've got some cool content out there. So I will see you all on the next video, and keep crafting, everyone. Adios.